Good morning. I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you more of my thoughts about seeing God in the world around us and overcoming joy. I will probably do this devotional and then maybe a couple of more, and then I'll probably be changing my thought process a little bit to how God uses women in the Bible and the importance of a godly wife and a godly woman in the Bible and the impact that it has on the world today. But today I wanted to share with you a scripture coming from Matthew 22, picking up in verse 37. You shall love your Lord, your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and foremost commandment. Second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. I want to share with you today a story from a World War II veteran that what I feel like he's kind of an unsung hero. And you know, there are many of people just like him in the world that no one ever knows the impact that they had on the world around them. And the impact that they had was due to these verses. They loved the Lord with all their heart, with all their mind, and with all their soul, and their neighbor as their self. I talked with, over the years, quite a few World War II veterans. I talked with, I asked a few questions and then sat back and listened to them share with me their life experiences, and my life has been richer because of that. The man that related the story to me today was a Guadalcanal veteran in World War II. He was a reconnaissance pilot. You have to remember that the people that fought in World War II basically were, one moment they were kids going to school, and then within a short period of time they were men in combat facing death every day. This man, as I said, was a reconnaissance pilot on that's a hard word for me to say, Guadalcanal. Anyway, he would fly a small airplane, unarmed airplane, no guns, no whatsoever, no weapons whatsoever, up and over and through enemy lines while cameras on his plane were taking pictures. And then he would bring those back and they would analyze those pictures, and the military then knew the position of the enemy and would be able to move forward and attack. And I think about that, and I think about that scripture, that you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Within just a few months, we took perfect strangers, put them into military training, handed them a gun, and shipped them off halfway around the world and said, do what we tell you to do. And they did, and I've heard the statement, they are the greatest generation. they certainly were a great generation. I am very proud to have known many people that were World War II generations. This man, like I said, was in a small aircraft flying over enemy lines without air support of any kind. He was up there by himself. He had to overcome the fear of imminent death any moment, but he also had to have a sense of love for his fellow man enough to do that. He shared with me two stories. The first story was they had sent him out and they said, we've got this area that we've got to have pictures of the gun emplacements, all the air strip. We've got to know all of this. We need you to get down low. So this man flew this unarmed aircraft down into enemy territory so low that he took tops of the treetops off with his running gear. When he landed, there were branches in his running gear. And his comments to his leaders was that low enough? He was not fearing for his life. He was obligated in his heart to take care of his fellow man, his fellow brothers that were fighting in this terrible war. And war is one of those things that there's not anything good about it, but good can come from that. We can learn that the Lord is able to sustain us. We can learn that there are people out there besides ourselves that need the Lord, that need what the Lord has equipped you to do. And that was not just one count of heroism. He recounted to me another time that he went up and was doing his reconnaissance mission, and he encountered two Japanese fighter planes. Here he's in a little small airplane, no great amount of speed, no weapons, and there's two Japanese airplanes out there in his airspace. At first, they did not see him, so he had the element of surprise, but other than that, he had nothing else. But the Lord equips us with wisdom and knowledge to use what we have to his honor and glory. And he said, I flew that airplane up behind those fighter planes and took the prop of my airplane and chewed up the tail end of one of those fighter planes. And that plane crashed. He said, then the other plane knew I was here. And he started after me, firing and trying to shoot me down. He said, I knew I couldn't outrun him. I knew I had no ammunition to shoot. So what could I do? He said, I did know that I had the ability to outmaneuver him. And so this man, alone, out in the middle of nowhere, flew down toward the water. And just as fast as he could go, he went down toward the water. And just before he hit the ocean, he pulled up. And his rear cameras recorded the Japanese fighter going into the water. That fighter plane could not make the turn that he made. And he recorded an unarmed airplane 2 kills as a pilot. He, to my knowledge, he didn't get a medal, or he was not recognized for this. The one thing he said to me was, because of the G-force of making that turn and coming up, he said he developed hemorrhoids. And he said, I suffered with those pretty much the rest of my life, most of my life. He said, they don't give Purple Hearts for hemorrhoids. There are a lot of people in this world, a lot like him, unsung heroes. They served the Lord with all their heart and with all their might and with all their mind. And yet, history doesn't record their service. History doesn't say thank you. And they go on one day and meet their Maker. But let me tell you this, that there is not anything that happens in this world that the Lord doesn't know about. And when that man stood before the Lord, when he died, I don't know when, I don't even remember the man's name. The Lord welcomed him into his kingdom as a good and faithful servant. There's no telling how many countless lives his dedication saved because of what he did and how he risked his life for others. That is what God is calling us to do as Christians, to put our life on the line so that others may have the opportunity to know the Lord. Sometimes we kind of get down in the dumps and we go, Lord, does it even matter? I've done all of this. I have tried to witness to people. I have lived a godly life. I have this and this and this. And yet I don't see the impact. No one has even said thank you. Let me tell you that God knows. God cares. And when you get to heaven, you will see many, many things that were done by those countless heroes. What does the scripture say? That, they go, when they get to heaven and God says, good and faithful servant, he says, when did I do this? When did I do that? That is the most important time of your ministry, of your witness, is when you did it totally for the Lord, no one else looking, no one else watching, and you did it in a selfless manner. No greater love has one than lay his life down for another. That's what this man did. No greater love do you have for mankind than to live your life in a manner that others see Jesus in you. Let me look back and see if I can find another scripture that just come to mind as I was thinking about this. It's in Philippians. Philippians chapter 2, verse 14. This starts off kind of in a negative statement. And sometimes we are kind of negative. But the rest of it is important. It says, do all things without grumbling or dispute, that you may prove yourself to be blameless and innocent children of God, above reproach in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you appear as lights in the world. Let your light so shine that others see Jesus in you. When the world is most dark, that is when you have the most important power, authority. You draw, your presence of Christ in you draws others to the Lord. So it becomes at times discouraging. It comes at times when life gets really hard and you're kind of running on vapors instead of a full tank, and you go, Lord, why? What is my purpose? How am I going to get through that? Remember that your salvation that God has given you is being perfected during this time of trial. God is scrubbing you clean. He's taking away your self-confidence and replacing it with the confidence in the Lord, that you may shine as a light in the darkness. The world needs that light today more than any other time. You need to know that the Lord loves you more than you can ever imagine. The scripture said there is a friend that is closer than a brother, and that's speaking about Christ. He loves you. He has made a covenant with you. I will never forsake you. I will never abandon you. Even when you're alone out in the darkness, I want you to radiate like stars in the sky. Thank you.